Hello? Happy almost fall time. So let me introduce, first of all, one of our graduates who is a math major here and they come from Montgomery County and Prince Orchard High School, and he now has his own company, a cybersecurity company in Seattle, and he's going to be talking to our internship office about some jobs possibility. Would you give Jay Beal a hand? Stand, Jay, let him see you. It's very nice. It's great when you can talk about students if you'd like to work in Seattle for one of our graduates, right? Not a bad story. And we want to stay in contact with Jay. Did you all get that? You understand that? All right. It's really very, very nice. So how many people have been at UMBC at least 5 years? Stand up. Stand up. Okay. I did that because somebody said today, if you say 5 years, I can stand now for the first time. Okay, 10 years. 15 years. 20 years. 25 years. Wow, wow. 30 years. Wow. 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 35 years. Give them a big hand, whoever's still standing. Wow. And then, so 40 years? Anybody 40 years? Give them a hand, big hand, 40 years, wow. So I'll ask it, anybody 45 years? What, 45 years, give them 45 years. Almost 41 years, yeah, that's, gotta love it. That's great, that is great. All right, now, next question. How many people have been at UMBC under one year or under? Stand up, let us see you. Oh, yeah. Give them a hand. Oh, yeah. So keep standing, keep standing. So mission possible. Mission possible. Your job to all the people who've been here 5, 10, 15, up to 41 years is to make sure you connect to the people who've been here under 1 year and make them feel at home. Let's give them a round of applause. Great. Great. And with that said, we are going to begin by having 3 students come up and talk to us, Caroline, Jasmine, and Michael, and they will introduce themselves, starting with Caroline.
Thank you, Dr. Hrabowski. Hi, my name is Caroline Carey. I'm an incoming freshman here at UMBC. I applied to UMBC 2 years ago, and at the time, I really didn't have any idea what I wanted to do with my life. I was nearing the end of my senior year in high school, and all I really knew was I liked programming. So some of you know my story already and how my senior year ended. My last day of school was March 16, 2013. I had been coughing a lot, so the doctor sent me to get a chest x-ray. Well, the next day I found myself in the hospital being treated for stage 4 cancer. So the next 5 months I spent in and out of Georgetown Hospital were some of the most amazing of my life. I faced a lot of hard times, but I also met some of the best people I've ever known. Georgetown Hospital has this energy. They always try to make their patients there feel like part of a family. The staff and the volunteers work together with one goal in mind. How can we make these children's lives easier? I can't tell you how many families would go through that, get out of Georgetown, and then come back with some volunteer thing of their own, whether it was to supply a snack cart for the parents who were living on the floor with their children, or whether it was to get a makeup artist to come in and make the female patients feel beautiful again. In the year and a half since I was accepted to UMBC, I've grown more and more excited to come here. UMBC has that same energy, that same drive that I felt when I was at the hospital. I have many goals for college. I still want to get my undergraduate in computer science and hopefully go on to get my master's. But I also want to volunteer in hospitals and help people the same way I was helped. I've only known the staff here for a very short amount of time, but I already know that if I'm willing to put in the effort, then they will go as far as they can to help me achieve my goals. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to attend this amazing school. I look forward to a great 4 years.
thank you, Miss Carey. If we can just give her another round of applause. That was a beautiful story. Thank you. My name is Jasmine Simmons, and I'm a recent transfer student from the Community College of Baltimore County. I have spent 6 very, very long years stalking this school religiously. You have no idea. I have connected with several faculty members, and I will agree with you. You work so hard for us, and you make us feel at home. I've never went by my last name, which I will tell you now is Simmons, Miss Simmons. Not once has a faculty member said Miss Simmons to me. You, as a whole, relate to me as an individual. You understand my needs. You listen to me go through very long rants about my BA in mathematics, or I want a minor in education. Maybe I should change that to psychology. Maybe I should get an MAT, PhD, I'm not sure. Which scholar program? Do I live on campus, off campus? It doesn't matter. You were there to listen to the whole thing, and I thank you. And nothing is more important than having people in leadership positions that support us every step of the way, from admissions to financial aid to housing to in class. It's not just the teachers, it's everyone on this board. And I thank you. I thank you for making me feel at home and making the transition from CCBC to UMBC. And as much as you put energy into me and to the rest of this campus, the rest of the student population, I'm sure will make you very, very, very proud. So I thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michael Esmeyer, and I'm a new grad student in the Public Policy Department. I grew up in Iowa, a long ways from here. Yeah. And I also earned my bachelor's degree at a liberal arts college. Shortly after graduating, I joined the Peace Corps and was very fortunate to have been sent to Zambia in Southern Africa. My job in Zambia was an education teacher. I taught English, and I also worked with my community on various activities. A few of the activities that I am personally proud of are, one, we did a malaria education and mosquito net distribution to my entire community. I initiated an after-school anti-AIDS club, and I was co-organizer on our first ever, for our province, Boys Club, which our aims were to educate and teach young men to be positive leaders and role models in their community. I fell in love with development work. So towards the end of my service, which just ended in April, I decided that I wanted to continue doing work in this field, and that is what has led me to UMBC. I really like that at UMBC you can get a very top-notch education, but still kind of keep that smaller school feel, which is kind of something I enjoy. Excuse me. I also like that the proximity to Washington, D.C. for what I would like to do afterwards. So my goals are, after receiving my degree, I would like to work for some organization, whether it be domestic or international. Thank you.
Give all 3 of them a round of applause. Another round of applause. Great. And now, as I always say, if I had that British accent, I could raise so much more money. Give Philip a hand, would you please?
Well, thank you very much for that introduction, Freeman. And good afternoon, everybody. You may remember, those of you that have been here a couple of years ago, that 2 years ago on this very stage, I told a joke that was so bad that Freeman told me not to quit my day job. And as I said last year, and I'll say it again, I'm very glad I took your advice, Freeman. First and most importantly, I want to start by thanking each and every one of you here today for everything that you have done and will continue to do to support our students and our community. Thank you so much. Today, we not only celebrate the accomplishments of our community over the past year and the beginning of a new academic year, but this time also marks, as it happens, the exact midpoint of our strategic planning process, which will be drawing to its conclusion by the time we meet again at the next fall opening meeting. I'd like to speak a little bit about this process today for several reasons. The first is I think it's fair to say that almost everyone in this room has been involved in some way with the strategic planning process so far, either attending a meeting, responding to a survey, serving as a member of one of the strategy groups or steering committee. But more important than that, I'd like to talk about strategic planning because it is our future and it expresses our aspirations as a community. A year ago, we introduced to you the Strategic Planning Steering Committee, which comprises of faculty, staff, undergraduate and graduate students, and alumni. And consistent with our guiding principle of inclusion, since that time, the Steering Committee has engaged our community in many conversations and discussions. These discussions sought your perspectives and your ideas for the collective vision of our university expressed in our vision statement, and also the selection of a number of areas which we call focus areas around which we would centre our planning activities moving forward. I was fortunate to be present at many of those meetings across our community, and I'd like to sincerely thank everyone that attended, submitted a comment or a question, or responded to a survey. That work over the past year by our community resulted in the selection by the steering committee of 4 focus areas. And these are, the first one is collective impact in research, scholarship and creative achievement. The next one is what we call the student experience. The third is innovative curriculum and pedagogy. And the fourth is community and extended connections. This work is supported by what we call a foundations work group, which is focused on, as the name suggests, the foundations of our future, such as our people, our resources, our facilities, technology, business practices, and environmental sustainability. At the middle of last year, we sent out an open call for volunteers to work with the strategy groups, each of which will answer research questions and make recommendations in each of these 4 focus areas. I want to thank the more than 180 faculty, staff, students and alumni who responded and will be involved in the planning process as strategy group members, consultants or focus group participants. I'd also like to express my profound gratitude to the members of the steering committee who have worked so hard throughout this year, and to strategy group co-chairs, members of the strategy groups, our consultants and teams. Over the past 2 days, we held our university retreat, which was organised primarily around discussions hosted by each strategy group about the fundamental questions and ideas in each of the focus areas. The strategy groups will spend the next year studying those research questions which are related to our current performance and future possibilities. In keeping with our guiding principles, the planning process has placed the campus community at the centre of our strategy conversations. And so each of you will have many opportunities over the next year to contribute to the evolution of the plan. In addition, if you want to follow the planning process, we invite you to check our planning website, and I'll read this as planning.umbc.edu. planning.umbc.edu. The website is updated frequently and it has information about the membership of the various committees and strategy groups. It has meeting minutes, it has latest news from each of the strategy groups, it has the planning timeline, it has our guiding principles and information about our division development. Our conversations and discussions have reinforced, I think, what we all know, that the UMBC community is eager for engagement in the creation of a vision for UMBC's future and how we can achieve it. It also emphasises our shared sense of belonging and our ownership of UMBC as it is today and will be in the future. The plan will be completed towards the end of 2016 and will inform the Middle States 10-year review self-study, our next campus facilities master plan, and the case for our next capital campaign. The vice presidents and deans will have the responsibility of linking the strategies in the plan to priorities, including budget priorities, and metrics, measurements that will allow us to assess progress and the effectiveness of what we are doing. So this is a time of tremendous opportunity for all of us and for our UMBC. And I thank you once again for your past and future participation in our planning process together. The opportunity that I just talked about is, of course, founded on the hard work and commitment of everyone here today and those that cannot be with us at this moment. Finally, I'd like to end with a personal note. As always, I feel honoured and privileged to find myself speaking to you today. I am, as always, humbled by your fellowship and the opportunity to work as one individual to help us all reach our common goal, advancing excellence in education, scholarship, and service to the benefit of all members of our society. Thank you so much, and I look forward to working with you over the coming year. And now it's my great honour to invite our President, Dr. Freeman Hrabowski, to deliver the State of the University Address.
Indubitably so, I must say. Give Philip and Lisa and Michael Dillon and Lisa Archer a hand for the retreat and all they do in these areas. It's amazing. Absolutely. Our provost, yeah, they're doing an excellent job. I want to start with an amazing cover of a magazine that came out yesterday. We had been talking about cars, and I'm going to end with a test. Now, some of you who were at the retreat know this test already. Your job is to shut up today when we have the test, all right? You do not tell your neighbors the answers. That will be at the end of my speech today. I'm going to give them the test to see if they can connect the car and the university. That's at the end. But after that day, somebody brought up an incredible cover of a magazine that came out that same day. So if they would bring it up, this is American Motorcyclist. And if you look closely, you'll see that she actually is somebody you know. Her name is Amanda Knapp, and she's on the cover of the magazine. And that's actually UMBC there. It's a great, there she is. Stand up, Amanda. Let them see you. Give her a hand. She's embarrassed. Give her a hand, would you? Yeah. She actually races motorcycles, and in the article, it actually has a wonderful picture of her and her kids and husband, and talks about the fact that you can have a PhD, work at a university, and race motorcycles. And so it's work-life balance, and it's a great way to start in talking about a great college to work for. But get the magazine. Actually, they're going to have a piece on their homepage, and I think it's a nice piece about people having a whole life and doing all kinds of things. We come together each year as the fall semester approaches to renew our shared purpose and to commit to our guiding principles of supporting people and building excellence in education and research. And last year I went through a lot of what's here. The state of the university is very strong. You'll hear me saying that. There's so much to talk about, so many good things that are happening, that what I want to do today is just to highlight some of them in the next 20 or 25 minutes. People can't concentrate for more than about 20 or 25 minutes. I see your eyes starting to roll over after that, all right? So I'm just going to highlight a few things. So if I don't call your name, don't get angry at me. You got that? I'm going to just talk about a few of the great things that are happening, and then I'm going to refer you to when we put this up, and this will be up by early next week. and you'll be able to see all the details of the things. But the principles that we talk about, this supporting people, building excellence in education and research, are reflected in both the shared governance that we've talked about a lot over the years in challenging times and in good times, and they are guiding our discussions right now. You heard our provost talking about the planning process and talking about the accreditation process. We are preparing for the 50th anniversary in 2016, and it is a time when we can both look back to the past and look forward to the future. We have deep roots, and it is an interesting period. Remember that the legislation for UMBC actually was passed in 1963. First students came in 1966, and a lot happened during that period, from the Civil Rights Act in 64 to the Higher Education Act in 65. Remember that there were only 10% of Americans who had a degree in 65. Today, we're up to about 30%. And so, in many ways, our campus can be seen as a 20th century experiment, first in access, in diversity, and in educational aspiration. An experiment that has been a great success. And we'll be celebrating as we've moved now and through this first decade of the 20th century what that success actually means. And the planning process and the accreditation process both give us an opportunity to reflect on who we are, what we've been able to accomplish, but where we need to go now, because success is never final. We talk about that a lot. And so I want us to congratulate ourselves on this recognition by the Chronicle of Higher Education for the 5th year in a row as one of America's great colleges to work for. The only 4-year campus in the state of Maryland. Give yourselves a hand, a big hand for that. And that has everything to do with the fact that we support each other. We do focus on shared governance. One example of just that support, some of the faculty recently wrote a proposal to the National Science Foundation, and we just learned that we've gotten this award to focus on some of the issues involving the career-life balance factors that impede the advancement of women in not only the natural sciences, but the social sciences. And the goal will be to help those who've moved to associate professor, but for a lot of reasons have not been able to move to full professor. You'll be hearing a lot about that. Some of you are aware of the challenges we face with the Child Care Center because of the water infiltration problems, and yet Lynn Schaefer and others have been working with the campus to go through discussions, and we're delighted that we'll be reopening that building as of August 2015. We do take that matter seriously. Whatever we can do to be supportive of people, we want to do that as we talk about balancing family and work. A lot of that has to do with shared governance and with leadership. And so I want to thank the people who've been involved in leadership roles. And so I want you to give a round of applause to this past year's president of the Faculty Senate, Kathleen Carroll, and to Layla Shoshana from the Staff Senate, and Dorothy Kaplan. Would you give them all from the non-exempt Staff Senate? They've done a great job. And then from the new people, from Sarah Shin of the Faculty Senate, and Joshua Lubin from the Professional Staff Senate, and Dorothy Kaplan. Give them a hand for this coming year. It's very pleased with that. And I know that I'm delighted that Ganesh, who's with the SGA, I know today with their retreat, is the new president of the SGA, and Dan Miller for the grad. Give them a hand also for the president of the And finally, we have a chair of the Adjunct Faculty Advisory Committee, who's from the Math Department, Bill Slawikowski, and Barbara Lenham-Church, who chairs the Graduate Assistant Advisory Committee. A hand for them also. We also continue to attract great people to administrative roles. I'm really proud of the person who has been chairing chemical and biochemical engineering and then working with the provost and connecting UMB and UMBC. She's our new dean of engineering, best in the country already, Julia Ross. Give her a hand. Where's Julia? Really proud of Julia, isn't she? Really proud of Julia Ross. Very proud of her, very much so. What is significant about all these, and there are a lot of new people here, one of the most important centers on our campus, and I want you all to be aware of it, is our Joint Center for Earth Systems Technology, and Belay Demos is here. Give him a hand, would you please? Belay is the new director of that center, very important. Our budget is stronger than ever. For the first time, we are now over $400 million. The budget is $405 million. The state operating budget totals 229 of that 405. We had an increase of about $12 million. Putting this in round terms, for the $12 million, the increase comes primarily from two sources. The campus received over $6 million in net new state appropriations and another $6 million because of a healthy enrollment growth and a modest increase in tuition. And that $12 million, as you might expect, was split in several ways. The biggest part, quite frankly, $9 million went to cover mandatory costs, and the biggest of those, as you might expect, was for salaries, for COLA and for merit increases. That's about $7 million of that money. But then other... That's right, it does, yep. And then funds, that makes sense. So we want to keep working on those salaries, we do. People have to pay those mortgages, we got that, got ready, it makes sense. And then other funds for the opening of the new building, the Performing Arts and Humanities. How many of you have been in that new building? How many have been in the new phase of that new building? How many have been in that new concert hall? Is very special. Make sure you go over there. It's very, very special. It really is. But for facilities renewal and the opening of the new building, and then for the academic program and for faculty and staff positions, for helping students out, and that's how that money has been spent. And throughout all of that, we've focused on both accountability and compliance. And the best news is that all of our USM audits for fiscal compliance have gone extraordinarily well. We take those matters very seriously. The worst thing you can do is to get money and not be able to show that you're managing it well. And our audits have gone extraordinarily well. So for all those people involved across the campus, we want to say thank you. And then, really significant, the shared services centers are moving ahead with business, with a number of business process improvements having been implemented along the way. In the two areas right now are the College of Natural and Mathematical Sciences and the Academic Affairs, the support units, and the goal would be to continue that across the campus. We have to be able to show, when you're talking about $400 million, that you're managing the money well. And the way you do that is through these shared service units. We're starting with those two, and we'll be moving to others as time goes on. For the first time in the fundraising area, we've just gotten to the point of saying we have an endowment of $75 million. Big deal. Give us a half of that. Big deal. For those of you who are new, you'll appreciate this. 20 years ago, we did not have $1 million in the endowment. And I want you to think about this. How many $500 checks do you think you have to get $1 million? You get my point? See, middle-class people, it takes a lot of money to get to $1 million, right? You know, that's rich people give to rich people usually. Think about it, okay? And so the idea of being able to attract funds and to get everybody involved, I mean, for Greg and his folks and everybody in this room, it really makes a big difference. And so to get to the $75 million, it means we're going to have a great time moving on towards that $200 million endowment. We really are. As Greg has a heart attack as I say that, all right? But the line that I like using is a day without an ask is a day without sunshine. Remember that. And no does not mean never. It just means not today. Remember that, okay? Why am I telling you that? More and more, we need all of you to think of yourselves as fundraisers and friend raisers. The more you bring people to this campus, the more they will understand the substance of this place, the more they'll be involved and interested in giving. And we are preparing now for this next campaign. And as we go towards the 50th, and you'll be hearing more and more about that. It is significant. There are a lot of creative approaches that the folks in institutional advancement are using. You'll be hearing more about those, and you'll be able to read quite a bit. And when you read this report, you can go through all of the outstanding alums who have been named for this year, and we'll be talking about those at homecoming. The most important part of a campus's fiscal health usually is defined in terms of its enrollment. A lot of campuses across the country are having problems right now because they are not attracting enough students who can pay their bills. For us, we are in very good shape. In fact, we have seen a 50% increase in applications over the past 5 years, and we'll be welcoming about 2,900 new students this fall, of whom over 1,600 will be new freshmen. The total fall enrollment for the first time will exceed 14,000 students. We could be much larger than that. We're being very careful in the growth that we have, but this will have over 11,000 undergrads. We're moving, presidentially speaking, towards 3,000 grad students. You know what presidentially speaking means, right? We're at about 2,800. You round up a little bit, right? Remember that? You just always said presidentially speaking. Those 3,000, all right? We're getting there. And but this is what I wanted you, and I've worked with John Martello, Michael Dillon, and others to look at these big numbers. When Drexel was here, my friend, the president of Drexel, came down and was talking about his enrollment, and he was saying that we are calling ourselves a mid-sized place, but he was asking me some questions and talking about how they define who they are. Well, it is true, we have 14,000 students. That's the traditional enrollment. But if you look at all the students we serve from the different categories, including the students with the training centers, including the students with the English Language Institute, you put all those students together, we actually serve 20,000 people. So, yeah, the traditional number is 14,000. But if you're talking about the enterprise of UMBC, we really have an enrollment of 20,000 people of degree and non-degree, credit and non-credit. You get my point? And so I want you, and I put this here so you'll have those numbers so you can talk about the traditional way of reporting. Many institutions already do both. They will report both because they're looking to look as big as they can look. Well, we want to report the truth and be transparent. So through transparency, yes, the traditional would be the 14,000, but it is important to say we have thousands and thousands of people who are coming here for training through a range of programs. And so we are literally talking about 20,000 people. And what's significant is that the freshman class is higher achieving than ever, that we are talking about large numbers of valedictorians and salutatorians and higher SATs than ever before, and it is a very impressive class. And most important, the retention and graduation rates are up, and that helps the enrollment. The more students you bring in and then keep, the larger the enrollment. One of the big problems with a lot of places, as you might imagine, is they bring people in, but they don't stay. Well, for us, the good news is more and more are actually staying here, and more of the programs are creative enough that students want to stay here. And that's been one of our challenges, since there's some programs we've not been allowed to have. But we've been able to come up with creative programs that have been very attractive, from international studies and global studies and Asian studies and women and gender studies and media and communication studies, and it goes on. And more students are looking at ways of connecting programs in interdisciplinarity, and as a result, they are staying. The other reason we have such success is we really get this point about affiliation. The more students are affiliated with a group, whether it's through the athletics program or one of those teams, or it's through living learning communities, or it's first year seminars, or it's in one of the honors programs, or it's in some of the extracurricular activities, or it's in community service through the Shriver Center, or it's in getting them internships, or it's the work that we have with transfer students and getting them involved with different groups. It's in the redesigned courses. It is amazing. It's in the entrepreneurship efforts. There are all these efforts that we talk about in the report that have led to more students being here, having a good experience, and remaining. And using the technology and the data analytics, we've been able to look at the themes, the trends, in order to see what's working and what's not working. In terms of the academic programs and academic initiatives, the new student book experience pulls people together as a community. We're looking forward this year to this book, Enrique's Journey. The author will be here on September 23rd. Should be a fascinating discussion to talk about that. The new Center for Innovation, Research, and Creativity, CIRCA, involving the arts and using technologies and innovative ways of interdisciplinarity in that work. The Active Center, involving computer science and the work in active student learning and laptop-based laboratory activities. The Center for I was about to say the Center for Disease Control, but I didn't mean that. I saw CDC, right? The Chemistry Discovery Center, right? And CASTLE, both involved in active student learning. The new collaboratory. If you've not been to the Science Learning Collaboratory, funded by the Howard Hughes people, it's amazing. It looks like kindergarten in some ways. I mean, all the colors, they use these colors to talk about enhancing creativity. So pink and yellow and orange. Go over and look at it. It's a fascinating experience. And then the multi-divisional teams involved in the work for community college students through the Gates program, the New Generation Engineering, Global Engineering course that's involved with the University of Porto in Portugal, all the way to the work with the STEM summer experience. The work that those teams are involved in with the journals that we have. I was at a very prestigious institution, and I took copies of both of our journals, Bartleby in the Creative Arts and UMBC Review. And this is a very prestigious liberal arts college in the Midwest that has $1 billion endowment for 1,000 students. And they said, how can a public university afford to have 2 undergraduate journals? And I said, how can we afford not to? And the faculty there was saying, I mean, how is it that we don't have one with $1 billion endowment? it's about priorities. It really is. But they were so impressed with the quality of writing and the fact that it's our undergraduate students, quite frankly, who are involved in that work and making such a difference. But the infusion of the courses with the service learning experiences, with the entrepreneurship experiences, the work of the Shriver Center, and the new work involving the Peace Corps prep program for opportunities for undergraduates involving global citizenship and service, the breaking ground work and the new work involving the Kettering Foundation and the Rebuilding Democracy's colleges, all the way over to the work involving the Career Center and the fact that we had over 400 employers here this year. Families want to know that their sons and daughters and family members are well educated, but they also want to know if they're not going to grad school that they can get a job, right? And so I want you to encourage people to get into that Shriver Center, get into that Career Center, to have the experiences, the internships, and the jobs. It's very, very important. And at the graduate level, a number of new initiatives, including the new Psychological Training Center, focused on training for grad students in the Human Services Psychology program, all the way to the new MPS program in Health Information Technology, to looking at all the new programs in the social sciences down at Shady Grove. How many of you have been to our Shady Grove campus? It is a very impressive site. When you go down there, act like you own the place. It's very important. Because we do. We are one of the owners as much as anybody else, so the more you act like it, the more it's yours, right? So just go down there and own it and say, this is UMBC. That's what you do. It's very important, right? I am very impressed with the graduate school's efforts that focus on helping graduate students look at what they're doing after the experience, using the Council of Graduate Schools report that talks about pathways to careers. And we are very, I think, ahead of the game in doing a lot of work in that area, just as the training centers are working with professionals to look at a lot of the work there. And then going to what is interesting to me as we think about our undergraduates and the possibilities. We've got almost 40% of our undergrads going immediately to grad and professional school. And so we had students who, amazingly, who are going on to Harvard, MIT, MD, PhD programs, to Hopkins. I was impressed with Miss Baltimore, who went on to Harvard for the PhD in, was it in archaeology? Anthropology at Harvard. Not a bad story. Not a bad story. And the other one that I really was impressed by, that's here that you'll read about, involves Alexis DeVance, a UMBC dance student who won the Outstanding Student Choreography Award at the American College Dance Festival at the Kennedy Center. That's a big deal. Give her a hand for that. It's a big deal. And we're looking forward to hearing from Samantha Hawkins, who's now at Harvard there too. And then I also want to congratulate our athletes, and particularly I want to congratulate those teams that won American East conferences. That's the men's soccer, women's soccer, and cross country, and their coaches. Give them all a hand, would you please? Very, very impressive. And now, what is interesting to me is that there are a number of people involved in very interesting research involving interdisciplinarity, involving big data with the Veterans Administration, for example, involving collaborations such as involving MedImmune and Sue Rosenberg, and work that we do with UMBC, between UMBC and UMB, work that we have with the collaborative CRADA, which is this cooperative agreement with the Army Research and Development of Engineering, command agreement, the work involving the Hilltop, that's very important, involving the Center for Medicaid and Medicare Services, all the way to all of the themes involving the environment, from the physics department in the Maryland Energy Administration all the way to mechanical engineering. And then a number of faculty and staff awards, including Jeff Leipz in biological sciences, and Marie Desjardins, and Bob Rubenstein, and in the staff, Kevin Joseph, and Susan Augsburger, and Justine Johnson, and Jane Gaithman. Give them all a hand, would you please? Gaithman. And then very prestigious awards. Tim Brennan, if you don't know it, has been named the chief economist for the Federal Communications Commission of the FCC. Kate Brown got 2 more very prestigious awards, including one from the American Society for Environmental Historians, and another from the Organization of American Historians, all the way to Lorraine Rimmer, someone you may not know. She's with JSET, and she has recently been named one of the world's top scientists by Reuters. Big deal, big deal. Give her a hand for that. If you've not seen the work of Linda Dustman and Eric Smallwood involving this Symphony Interactive and this tablet app that they have that enhances the Symphony experience, do so. It changes the way you think about technology. And the Symphony, Maurice Berger continues to get amazing awards. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development just gave a major grant to the Maryland Institute of Policy Analysis and Research involving green and healthy homes. And then UPaul Ghosh just got a major award involving research universities across the world, from Brazil to India to England, on research that focuses on developing innovative methods to detect and monitor existing threats to the urban water environment and to technologies to reduce pollution. And couple of other fascinating awards. Amy Hurst in Information Systems has this multi-university project with Carnegie Mellon where she's the PI involving methods to enable people with disabilities to take full advantage of resources available on the internet. And finally, everybody's talking about Yoni Zohar's work with this bluefin tuna. Huge deal, huge deal. By the way, and you know that he grows fish that are used in the restaurants downtown. If you didn't know that. I mean, very expensive fish, too. They really are. If you go and Google, I mean, he's been talked about around the world at this point because of the work there. And then Tom Cronin has been getting amazing publicity from New York to California to around the country. And his work involves mantis shrimp that engage in extremely complicated behavior and have perhaps the most unusual eyes ever evolved. So you see these themes of environment in a lot of the work that's going on across this campus. And really want to congratulate Mike Summers, not just because he's just gotten his big Howard Hughes grant again renewed and was the first one in the public university in our state. Only one other is at UMB, but because he's worked with Keith Harmon in the MAUI program, and now we're replicating what we're doing on this campus, both at Chapel Hill and Penn State, all of which speaks to the fact that we are focused on being a model for inclusive excellence in many ways. And so what I'd like you to think about is that whether we are talking about what we do in the environment, what we do in science, what we do in policy, what we do in the arts, we've got this excellence across the board, what we do in athletics. Let me ask you to congratulate Tim Hall, who's just been elected chair of the NCAA Committee on Women's Athletics for the fall of 2014. Give Tim a hand, would you? And just one comment about sustainability and the environment. The fact is that people didn't believe we were serious, but we signed that American College and University President's Climate Commitment in 2017. Since that time, we reduced the net carbon emissions by 12%. We are committed to reducing by another 12%. Our recycling and composting rates have doubled in recent years, and we have people involved across this campus, and you're going to see more and more about that. This year, we've gotten this big grant to have a vegetative roof on the top of the administration building, and I'm really excited about that because that's where we raise money, right? So you're going to see more and more involving that as time goes on. And I was really delighted that UMBC is one of just 100 campuses, the first 100 campuses. Keep in mind, there are 4,000 colleges and universities in America. So when you say you're one of 100, I mean, that's a big deal. Top 10% would be 400, right? So when you talk about 100, you're talking about a very small percentage. We're one of the first 100 campuses in the country to receive the NSF Cyber Infrastructure Award for advanced computing that will focus on major advancements for us in this area of cyber infrastructure. And that's because of the PI of the grant, Jack Seuss. Give Jack a hand for that, would you? And a lot of you would be very pleased to know we spent a lot of time this summer upgrading the infrastructure and preparing for the opening of the second part of the Performing Arts Building and in upgrading and refreshing classrooms. And we can now say that we have smart technology in every registrar-controlled classroom at UMBC. Final points of these. The capital projects, since 1999 to 2019, we've actually had, by the time we finish, and this is based on money that we have in the pipeline, we've had $750 million of construction. Give us a big hand for that. It's a big deal. $750 million. I thought what would be fun today would be to have our VP for Administration and Finance go through the projects that are most recent so you can know what's going on campus. And that's going to be something that will be great. But before you do that, you've got to have this test. You ready for this test? All right. And anybody who wins the test gets a bonus. You got it? And the bonus is an extra sandwich, all right? And the test, Greg Simmons and I worked with new presidents and provosts up at Harvard, and they were all impressed by the blog from US News, and it was comparing campuses to cars. And the first one, give me that first screen, was about best national university. They said it was Princeton. Now the question, now again, if you were at the retreat, shut up, all right? Politely I said, all right? What car do you think might be, they said, you know, Princeton was given this rank as best national university because of its full range of undergrad programs, master's, PhDs, and all of that, and its commitment to groundbreaking research. What car do you think would fit Princeton? Oh, somebody said it, Now, were they at the retreat? Somebody said BMW. Anybody else? Somebody said Tesla. Anybody else? The answer is BMW. All right. So who got the BMW? Who said BMW? All right, you get an extra sandwich, all right? All right. All right, the next one is Best Liberal Arts College, Williams, and they say because they focus on undergraduate education and award approximately half their degrees in the liberal arts. I don't think they realize science is in the liberal arts too. But anyway, what car do you think about? You were at the retreat. You were not at the retreat, okay. Anybody else? Tesla, anybody else? CRD. I don't know a thing about cars. What's a CRD? What is it? It's a CRV, is that right? Tell me, what's a CRV? Honda. I don't know a thing about cars. I'm terrible. Wait a minute. Anybody else? Okay, and the answer is Subaru. All right. Lisa has a Subaru, right? That's the one you have. That's not what you. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I got that wrong too. I still got it wrong. All right. I got that wrong too. Okay. All right. The next one is best A+ school for B students. Syracuse. All right. All right. All right. What kind of car? What'd you say? Chevrolet, somebody said. Hyundai, anybody else? Hyundai, Chevrolet? And the answer is Ford. All right. Okay. All right. And then the next category is Harvard. And by the way, people kind of chuckle about this one, but the reason they got this category is, because everybody knows they're the richest of everything. They and God are the richest of everything. They are over 29 billion, but it's because the net cost of attendance is the best because if you have need-based aid, they really do pay. They do pay. They do give a lot of money because of the size of their endowment, much bigger than anybody else. Okay, so. And the answer, anybody, wait a minute, what's the, he's doing a really good job. Roland, you're doing a great job this time. This is much better, much better. You can keep your job, man. You can, right? What's the car? What car? Huh? What I hear? A Honda. See, I kept thinking it was going to be a Rolls Royce or something. I didn't know. Anybody else? And the answer is Porsche. I have a question. I just have one question. What does a Porsche look like? How many of you know what a Porsche looks like? I bet most people do. I am so dumb. I am so out of it. Okay. And then the last category about this blog now, because I want you to all go get the blog and send this blog to everybody you know. You got it? Okay. The last category, they said, for the 6th consecutive year, U.S. News asked the experts to rank institutions making the most promising and innovative changes in academics and faculty and student life. All right? And it was UMBC. Now, what card do you think they put with UMBC? Somebody said Tesla. Anybody else? What else? Come on, y'all. You all are UMBC. What car? A Honda? Prius. Is that what you have? You have Prius. Is that what you have? Prius? She has Prius. She has Prius. How many of you know what a Prius looks like? Yeah, I'm really out of it. I really am. You have to get me out of my office. I don't know a damn. That's terrible. Any other car? I'll tell you, Toyota? Oh, okay. And the answer is Tesla. Yeah. And listen to what it says finally. There's been a new news story about Tesla nearly every day for the past year, documenting triumphs of the young automaker, record stock price, industry accolades, increasing sales and profits. An electric car with a stunning design is worthy of up-and-coming status, but a car company reimagining the country's energy and transit infrastructure with a CEO who has his eyes on Mars needs a category into itself. We've got our eyes on Mars, folks. You got that? That's the idea. Give UMBC and Tesla a hand. That's great. So I'm going to ask Lynn to come on up. And listen, I want you all, listen, this is a hell of a place to work for all of us. Give us a hand, all of us, give us a hand. And by the way, when you finish this, do not leave because we've got to sing the alma mater. And when we sing the alma mater, we all stand, we don't walk around, and we do not leave. We're going to do that right after we have this highlighted presentation, okay? We'll be out in a minute. Okay.
Okay, Freeman and I decided that it was timely to give everybody a sense of all the things that are going on campus because there are so many things going on. I wanted to just take a moment to thank my colleagues, Rusty Postleway, Joe Rexing, Julianne Simpson, Celso, and the many project managers and facilities management who are taking care of these things, as well as so many people in this room who are working on project teams and coordinating all the disruptions that are going on in your buildings and everything else. So we have some amazing things going on campus. So I can't do the slides myself, so I have to send a signal to Roland, who's right in the back of the room. So Roland, I'll just do this when I want you to change the slide, okay? Great. It worked. Okay. Okay, so we have 8 major projects, and I'm going to go through those right now. We also, as many of you know, have many smaller projects going on around campus, and so we really appreciate your patience with all of that disruption. One of those projects is completed, 5 are in construction, 1 is in design, and 1 will begin design in early in 2015. So this is a campus map, and the blue dots are construction projects, so new buildings and renovated buildings, and the gold dots are site projects. And one of the things that I wanted to point out on this, we have things going on all across campus, major projects. Also, every single one of these projects, with the exception of fine arts, requires extensive MDE, Maryland Department of the Environment, permitting process. And so you'll hear a little bit about that as we go through these projects, because as we've seen delays, many of those delays have been because of the complex new regulations MDE is working to enforce, which makes things challenging, but it's of course to a very good purpose. So the first thing I wanted to highlight is the Performing Arts and Humanities building. Phase 2 is now officially open. And in Phase 2, we have music, dance, philosophy, and ancient studies. This project, the entire Phase 1 and Phase 2, cost nearly $160 million. And I think those of you who have been in the building agree that it shows it. It's really a magnificent facility. The first phase of the building, which opened 2 years ago, includes theater, English, the Drescher Center for Humanities, and a number of other specialized spaces. There are 500 new classroom and teaching lab spaces in Phase 2. There were 200 additional teaching lab and classroom seats, is what I'm talking about. These are seats in Phase 1. Joe Rexing is the project manager, and Mickey Miller from UMB is the UMB Service Center project manager. I have some pictures of some of the interior spaces and the exterior spaces. I just wanted to remind everybody that in front of the Performing Arts and Humanities building, we have the beginnings of the installation of our first major public art project as part of the state's new public art project. It is a work called The Forum from Thomas Sayer, and just starting to be implemented. It'll be fully implemented over the course of the next couple of months. The concert hall, which is a magnificent space, 350 seats, and it's amazing space because it has adjustable acoustics, which will allow us to have all different sizes of performances in that space. We also have the Dance Cube, which you can see from outside. It's particularly amazing at nighttime. That's the one in the upper right corner. That seats more than 100 people for performances. And the Music Box, which is the lower left, which is an instructional ensemble room, rehearsal space for our music programs. And that one also has adjustable acoustics. Okay, we're going to move on. Just in time for our 50th anniversary, we are redoing the front entrance to campus. The goal of this project is to address safety issues for both vehicles and pedestrians, and to improve the arrival experience on campus. $14.8 million project, started in this past June, scheduled to be completed in August. Here's a site plan of that project. The project includes two-lane travel on either side of UMBC Boulevard. That means getting rid of all the parking on UMBC Boulevard, which was a safety issue, of course. A new traffic circle at the intersection of UMBC Boulevard and Hilltop. A smaller traffic circle at the Research Park Drive intersection, which, as many of you know, gets really backed up during peak times. That's going to take care of that peak backup. Dedicated pedestrian drop-off space. Safe crosswalks across Hilltop Circle. I don't know, I'm always dodging students, especially next week, right, when they're new to campus. And making it easier for visitors to find their way once they get to campus and to find their way to the administration garage. So the plaza is nearly complete. It will be complete probably in the 3rd or 4th week of September. And that was one of the projects that got held up because of the very complicated MDE requirements. The east lot of the admin garage, which you know is under construction right now, and the ramp to that part of the garage will be completed in November. And the entire project will be completed next August 2015. John Zayer is the project manager there. Here's a rendering on the upper left of the plaza when it's finished. You'll see that it's many trees, lots of greenery. It is going to be mostly a hard surface, and that is to allow for more people to gather in that space. That space was originally constructed when we were at 9,000 students, and we just don't fit there anymore. So I think it's going to be a wonderful entrance to the core of campus. We will be communicating with the campus frequently to let you know all of the changes in how you get around campus over the course of this year as we finish this project. We're going to move next to the Fine Arts Building. The Fine Arts Building is several spaces, about 43,000 square feet of that building has been freed up with moves to the new Performing Arts and Humanities Building. And so you can see on the right the list of departments that will now be located in the Fine Arts Building. Those in red are the ones that will be new to the Fine Arts Building. So the building was completed in the early 70s, and it's time for replacement and repair of some major building systems, including the roof, some of the mechanical systems, the fire alarm and emergency lighting, and electrical distribution channels. In addition to that, let's go look at some of the finishes. The finishes in the spaces that we're renovating will be restored to look like new again. These are just sketches. The project has started, and it's scheduled to be completed by December of 2016, and it's going to be a rolling completion where people will move in at various points over that period of time, hopefully to coincide with semester breaks so that it'll be convenient for everybody. I did say that this was the only project that didn't require MDE approval, so we hope to stay on schedule with that. There will be 11 more 20-plus seat classrooms created in this renovated space, and it includes a new active learning classroom for the College of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences. Okay, now we're going to go to the Stormwater Retention Facility, otherwise known as the Pond Project. Okay, so the Pond Project was supposed to be underway last December. As you might imagine, this is a very complex environmental project, and we have been back and forth with MDE, and we continue to be back and forth with MDE. But the whole idea here is that this is a really important stormwater management facility on our campus. That was what it was designed for originally. But with the construction of the Performing Arts and Humanities building and many other things that have happened on campus, it simply wasn't going to be able to handle all of that stormwater coming through, and the structure was beginning to fail. So you could see, I don't know if anybody can see the numbers on here. So number one, that part of the project is restoring, repairing the dam. So it is a dam. It actually holds back water as it cascades down the hill from just overrunning the bottom part of campus. So that's going to be repaired. We are going to create a wheelchair accessible pathway from the Walker Garage down to the core of campus. We're rebuilding part of the structure. Sorry, that was number 2. 3 is rebuilding part of the structure to slow down the flow of water as it comes through this facility so that it goes into the groundwater and will improve the water quality in the pond, so that the pond will be beautiful forever. We hope. We're installing many new plantings, new seating areas. It's going to end up being, I think, a wonderful treasure in the middle of our campus. The next slide is an artist's rendering of what it's going to look like a few years from now as all those plantings mature. Okay, we are now going to move on to, did anybody wonder when I said we were eliminating parking along UMBC Boulevard, where all those students were going to park? Okay, so there was planning in that, and we have created a new parking lot with 400 spaces up, I don't know if you could tell on that left one, it's right between the Walker Apartments and the rugby field that's up on the other side of the loop. They tell me it's guaranteed to be ready by next week, and in fact, they're going to be striping the lot over the weekend. It's 400 spaces, and so it's more than enough to account for the roughly 130 spaces that we're losing along UMBC Boulevard. Also, I was asked to point out that between the admin garage and admin boulevard, we have converted a number of spaces from student parking to D-zone parking so that there will be a little bit more parking for faculty, staff. Okay, next, going to what our president often tells me is quite an eyesore on our campus, West Hills Apartments. So does that look familiar? So these are apartments that were built in 1981, very minimalist stick construction, and they are happily, well, there you are. So they are happily undergoing much-needed renovation and an exterior facelift. The project manager is Ty Orner, and the project is going to be underway any moment now as soon as we get that MDE permit. Let's go to the next page, the next slide. So this is a rendering of what these are going to look like. They're going to be similar to the redo of the Hilltop and Terrace apartments, Hillside and Terrace apartments, and they're going to have new stair enclosures, new siding and windows, renovated bathrooms, new room finishes, upgraded electrical and mechanical systems, new internet service, and a lot of site renovations to make it a more pleasant place for students to live. Okay, I'm gonna, we'll talk. Okay, next I'd like to go to the very exciting news that planning for a new event center on campus is underway. This is a conceptual sketch that was part of the feasibility study. Could we do this? Could we afford it? Could we make it work on our campus? And we found that we could. And with the support of the university system, we were able to finance this project. It is an $85 million project. It is under design right now. Construction will start in December of 2015 and completion date around January of 2018. Actually, it'll probably be the fall of 2017 so that we can actually hold basketball games in the 2017-18 season in that arena. 5,000 fixed seats, the capacity to add another 1,000 seats on the floor for things like graduation, convocation, career day, concerts and speaker series, all kinds of things I think that will enrich the life of campus. And of course, holding America East conference games for basketball and volleyball. Paul Robinson is the project manager on that project. Here is just a floor plan of what we had in mind. The site is going to include an auxiliary gym, space to host events, like really nice events for 500 people, a hospitality room that overlooks both the event floor and the stadium complex, and a new home for athletics administration. Here is the location of the event center. You'll see that it's down at South Campus, right really in the heart of the athletic complex, by the soccer stadium, the stadium complex, the stadium lot. It will connect athletics to campus in a way that has not been so visible in the past. And so it's a very exciting site, I think, for this facility, and very close to campus for all of those student life and campus life events that I talked about. And last, the one that is just a twinkle in our eyes right now, is a new interdisciplinary life sciences building. So this is a building that it's 130,000 square feet of flexible, adaptable research and education spaces to support ongoing and future interdisciplinary life science programs. This is a program where we actually have received this fiscal year funding to start design. And we're in the process of procuring the architectural engineering team that will help us do that design. We're envisioning more than 25,000 square feet of instructional space, including 16 new learning spaces, active learning spaces, teaching labs, seminar rooms, those sorts of things, with about 800 seats for additional students, a new vivarium, and many research labs for individual and joint and interdisciplinary research in that building. I'm going to go back to this. $123 million total cost is what we're estimating, and that is in the planning with state funds at this point in time. So as you can see, many things going on, and thank you all for working with us to make this flow as smoothly as it can, knowing that it is quite a disruption. We're happy to answer any questions that anybody might have. And if you have any questions you don't want to ask right now, please call facilities management. They welcome your questions. They welcome your interest. Yeah, okay.
Great, thank you. We have a guest, another guest, Trevor Stan. Trevor Eagle is an innovation fellow from Arizona State University, and he's going around visiting campuses that are considered some models and looking at what we do. Give Trevor a hand, would you, please? Great. He was my host with Michael Crow on his campus in recent months. So everybody stand, let's have the alma mater, okay? Thank you all. Enjoy the day. It's going to be a great year, guys. Thank you.